It began with the sound of drums that weren't drums at all, but the thunder of clawed feet against the sand. 100 desert suns blazed across the horizon, each reflection off the war beast's armored hides dazzling enough to blind. The alien armies had come, crests painted, banners snapping, their mounts the size of starships. The desert shook with their pride. Every alien historian who wrote of the march of behemoths swore it was unstoppable. And for a while it was. Until the day someone in the ranks noticed a human sitting on a rock with an umbrella, sipping something with ice cubes clinking. He waved. He smiled. And suddenly, the march didn't feel unstoppable anymore. Now, to understand why that smile broke the back of an empire, you have to understand what the aliens thought they were facing. The Zirathai Confederation, proud riders of the giant war beasts they bred across 10,000 years, had declared the desert world of Deneb 6 theirs. To them, it was ritual conquest. March in with your beasts, fly your banners, and watch the local tribes scatter like insects. Deneb 6 was only valuable for its ore deposits and the corridor it opened into human space. But the Confederation didn't really expect humans to contest it. After all, humans were latecomers. A minor species. Talkative. Smiley. Ridiculously squishy. So when the first war beast crested the ridge, plated hide, gleaming bronze and banners dragging fire in the wind, the aliens weren't expecting resistance. What they found was one human, alone, wearing khaki trousers, white shirt, suspenders, and a ridiculous wide-brimmed hat. He looked like he had gotten lost on his way to a Sunday picnic. His name was Captain Elias Ward, Terran Diplomatic Corps. Gentlemen, ladies, assorted categories, he said, raising his glass in toast. Welcome to Deneb. Do mind the sand. Gets everywhere. Awful nuisance. The aliens blinked. Not metaphorically, literally. Their eyes were designed to close sideways like shutters. Entire rows of them. General Zath, riding a beast taller than a cathedral, leaned forward, his fanged mouth curling. You are the envoy? Elias tipped his hat. Indeed. Though I must confess, you brought quite a bit more cavalry than expected. Didn't realize this was going to be a parade. Should I clap politely, or? He gave them a helpless shrug. The aliens laughed, a chorus of hisses, clacks, and rattles. They love to laugh at humans. Behind them, the desert trembled with thousands more beasts marching in formation, their riders armed with plasma lances, their banners casting jagged shadows across the dunes. The sound was terrifying, monumental, the kind of noise that meant history was about to pivot. Elias sipped his drink. Lovely entrance. Shame about the timing, though. You see, the thing about marching armies. He paused, squinting at the sun as though calculating the angle for his next line. They tend to be predictable. And predictable things are awfully easy to misplace. Before the general could respond, the first beast stumbled. At first it looked like bad footing. Then another stumbled. Then 3. Then an entire column of titans lurched forward, trumpeting in panic as their riders screamed. The desert floor cracked open. Banners toppled as colossal mounts fell, half swallowed by the sand. What the aliens hadn't realized was that humans had been very busy underneath Deneb's surface. Entire months of digging, tunneling, laying charges and collapses, redirecting aquifers. The desert was a stage, and the humans had rewritten the choreography. But Elias didn't gloat. He simply folded his umbrella and stood. Oh dear. Mind the sinkholes. Terribly unsafe. Health and safety nightmare. General Zath roared. Trickery. Strategy, Elias corrected politely. Trickery is for magicians. Strategy is for professionals. And humans, well, We like to think of ourselves as professionals when it comes to survival. The armies struggled to regroup. Beasts screamed, riders scrambled to stabilize their mounts, the once proud march now a chaotic scramble. Still, they pressed forward, because alien pride is heavier than any sand dune. Advance! Zath bellowed. Elias sighed. Well, you can't say I didn't warn you. The aliens advanced. But as they did, the second act began. On the far horizon, something glimmered. Not beasts. Not banners. But mirrors. Hundreds of massive panels the humans had quietly planted across the desert, disguised as dunes until the right moment. Now, as the twin suns reached their zenith, the panels shifted in unison. The desert exploded with light. Focused beams seared across the dunes, blinding riders, spooking mounts, igniting banners. Heat shimmered so violently that whole columns looked like mirages. Elias pulled on a pair of sunglasses. Much better. Always did love a bit of solar power. Free energy, you know. Sustainable. Panic set in. Alien riders clawed at their eyes. Beasts stampeded into one another. Banners caught fire. What had been an unstoppable march was now a disorganized mob of blinded titans. And still Elias smiled. Not cruelly. Not boastfully. Just politely, like a man holding the door open for a stranger while knowing the building was on fire. The Zirathai tried regrouping, but the desert betrayed them at every turn. Sand collapsed where it shouldn't, dust storms erupted unnaturally, and every attempt to rally dissolved into chaos. Finally, General Zath demanded, "What are you?" Elias considered. Polite. Curious. Occasionally ruthless when prodded. We have a saying back home, "Don't poke the bear." Unfortunately for you, we're the bears. And you, well. He gestured at the collapsing battlefield. You're the ones holding the sticks. The aliens had expected resistance. Maybe even guerrilla tactics. They had not expected artistry. Humans had studied the war beasts for months. Knew their patterns, their instincts, their vulnerabilities. For all their size, they were still animals. And animals could be herded. Elias raised a small whistle to his lips. It was comically ordinary. A tin whistle, the kind a child might use. He blew. The sound was high, shrill, inaudible to human ears, perfectly audible to war beasts. The titans froze. Then, as if choreographed, they turned. Not toward the humans, but toward each other. Pandemonium erupted. Beasts clashed, tusks shattering armor, claws tearing banners. Riders were flung like ragdolls as their own mounts turned against them. In moments, the proud alien army was a self-destructing storm of teeth, scale, and fury. Elias tucked the whistle into his pocket. Amazing creatures, really. But you'd be surprised how effective classical conditioning can be when applied with a little patience. Aliens screamed betrayal, sorcery, abomination. But beneath the outrage was something deeper. Fear. Because in that moment, every rider understood. This was no coincidence, no lucky strike. Humans had planned this. Humans had anticipated them down to the twitch of a beast's ear. Elias gave a small bow. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been delightful guests. But I'm afraid the show is over. Do come again, preferably unarmed next time. And that was when the smile spread across his face. Not cruel. Not mocking. Just calm. Confident. Certain. The kind of smile predators wear when the hunt is already finished. The Confederation would later write entire volumes about that smile. How it haunted their generals. How it broke their armies before the killing blow. Because in that one expression, they saw the truth. Humanity wasn't fighting for survival. Humanity was setting the rules. The desert burned with the wreckage of beasts and banners, the horizon shimmering with heat. Elias walked calmly through it, untouched, his hat tilted against the sun. He did not look like a warrior. He did not carry a weapon. And yet the battlefield bent around him as if acknowledging who had truly conquered it. The final twist came later, when the Confederation regrouped, vowing vengeance. They sent fleets, armies, entire legions to other worlds, determined to prove humanity's victory had been luck. But everywhere they went, they found the same thing: collapsing ground, blinding light, beasts turning on masters, and always, a human waiting with that same polite smile. Because Deneb had not been an isolated trap. It had been a demonstration, a message. By the time the Confederation realized the truth, it was too late. The humans had never been defending Deneb. They had been advertising. And the galaxy had been watching.